I call to order a meeting of the Finance Committee for March 26, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone here. Thank everyone at home for watching. Thank all of the public that showed up tonight, too.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I'd
Diane.
like to make a point of order. Well, I guess this would come under a point of order. Seeing as this may be the last meeting of 3 people on the Finance Committee, and seeing as I couldn't bring champagne into here, I sort of have the next best thing. So I'm going to hand out, and if none of you were around when John Anzavino was on this, right? John always brought Twizzlers. Twizzlers or Good and Plenty's, one or the other. So please, I'll come around. Please take one. We'll have a little toast to toast us off. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks for that. And we're going to get back to our business here. We're going to continue our voting of the annual town meeting warrants. We have Article 33, which is Town Hall traffic, parking, pocket park, and landscape improvements. Okay, do we have a motion on Article 33? Looking for a motion to, you want me to read it? Okay. Joel?
Article 33, Town Hall traffic, parking, pocket park, and landscape improvements. I move that we approve the amount of $1,200,000 as explained to us by the CPC for this particular.
Well, thank you very much for that. I want to make a quick announcement before I ask for a second. I also wanted to make the announcement at the beginning here that this meeting is being recorded by SMAC and being, hi, thanks. This meeting is being shown live on local broadcast channel SMAC and recorded for future internet access and entertainment. The other announcement I want to make is for everyone to silence their phones. Should be a little switch on the side. Just thought I'd mention it again for the discussion. Anyway. So you have a motion to approve Article 33. Second. Joel, do we have a second on that? Chet. Okay. Motion is second. Any discussion on this? Article 33. Page 23 of the warrant. Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we have, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Members, so 11 to 1.
11 to 1. I'm going to ask her that right now. Any abstentions? No? Okay. Okay, you want to start this over again? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so now we have 9 to 3, right?
9 to 2?
9 to 3. Any abstentions? 0. Okay, great. Okay.
Good work, Craig.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks a lot, Craig.
Okay, article, since it's on the same page, page 23, we're going to do Article 30. We already did 32. I guess we're going to go to, we'll jump back up to Article 6. Article 6, which is on page 3, which is the Cedar Hill Enterprise Fund budget. Do we have a motion on Article 6? Proposed motion, town vote pursuant to provisions of general law, chapter. Okay.
On 6, Cedar Hill Enterprise, thank you. Article 6, Cedar Hill Enterprise Fund budget. I move that we approve the amount of $502,126.25.
Okay, do you want to read the rest of that, or to fund the Cedar Hill Golf Course for fiscal year 2026 with $502,126.25 to be raised from FY25?
Did I say the right number?
I just want to,
Article 6?
I want to clarify this right now, Biz. Yeah, please use the microphone, make sure the light's green.
My apologies. The proposed motion should be reading 502-12625 to fund the Cedar Hill Golf Course for fiscal year 2026 with 502-12625 to be raised from FY 2026 Cedar Hill Golf revenue.
Okay.
And
I'll
that's-
accept the amendment.
The fiscal year on page 3 of the proposed motion is incorrect, and I wanted to clarify that now. So Joel, is that your motion then?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second on that? Chet, thank you very much, Chet. Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? 12-0. Any abstentions? No? Okay, that's all set. Okay, we're going to go to Article 7, which is Public Health Association Enterprise Fund Budget, which is on page 4 of the warrant. Do we have a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion.
Chet?
I make a motion that we approve Public Health Association Enterprise Fund budget for $1,453,017 to be raised from the fiscal year 2026 public health revenue and other available funds, and $300,000 to be transferred from the Public Health Fund retained earnings, and $260,000 to be transferred and appropriated from free cash.
Okay, so your total amount is $1,004,453.17. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted, okay, Diane's a second on that? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Dave?
Yeah, thank you, Vaughn, through you. I've heard different numbers about, in different conversations, in different meetings, and I just want to make sure we're clear that this would be the only source that's using free cash. Is that correct? Everything else in the operating budget is not using free cash, correct?
The Public Health Association is not an operating fund budget. They're their own enterprise fund, so we will be supplementing this budget by the $260,000 from free cash, which you have historically been doing.
Right, and that's the number, because I've heard people talk about 400,000 needed. Did something happen that it was not, that we didn't have to get to the number 400 where 260 was plenty? Is that?
These are the figures that are estimated that we will need to move forward. I don't know where the 400 came from.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Just for clarification, if I recall, I think last year might have been the 400, Dave. That's just from memory. Any other discussion on this? Lisa?
So I just want to clarify, this is in fact utilizing free cash, which I'm opposed to using free cash or subsidizing the enterprise fund. I think it should be self-sustaining, which is what an enterprise fund is. So I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Okay, so we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8. 8. Okay, all opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, 8-4. Okay, that's Article 7, all set. Article 8, we have a Sewer Department Enterprise Fund budget. Do we have a motion on this one?
All right, I'll make the
It's on
motion.
page 4.
for Article 8, that we accept, the proposed motion as written in the warrant for $9,716,193.56.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second on that?
Mr. Chair, there's typographical error.
Hang on a second here, yeah. What's the typographical error?
The estimated cost is 9716193. However, the motion states 9156193. So if I can have just 30 seconds, I'll be able to correct that.
Okay. Yes, we're on Article 8, page 4.
Mr. Chair, through you to the body, the estimated cost should read 9156193.56. So the actual amount that's written in the proposed motion is correct.
Okay, so Diane, what's your motion on this?
Make the motion for accepting Article 8, Sewer Department Enterprise Fund budget for a total of $9,156,193.56.
Okay, great, thank you. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Chet, thank you for that. Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Joel?
Could you just repeat that number again? I didn't get it.
Yes, sir. In the proposed motion, the number of 9156193.56 is correct. Under the area where it says estimated cost just above the proposed motion, it should read the 9156193.56.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, all set? Okay, any other discussion? Dave?
Yeah, so I appreciate on the estimated cost, but there's also a different discrepancy under the last line, the first number in the last line, 9176 instead of 56. So where's...
You are absolutely correct. It is, sorry, I got to grow the screen a
So
little
we're
bit.
going to be restarting this whole thing?
We're going to start again. 9176, and Mr. Lurie, you are absolutely correct.
But that means that the numbers that we already adjusted also have to change. That's where you're going with
Correct.
that? Okay.
So,
So
correct.
Diane, so what's your motion, Diane?
We don't know yet.
I'll
Okay,
repeat
perfect.
I'll repeat the figure for you.
She's going to read the real number first.
Okay. 9176 193.56. 9176 193.56. Okay.
And just to correct, Biz, that should be in all 4 of those places, that number.
Yes, in each place, there's 1, 2, 3 places where that number has to be replaced.
3 places?
I'm
no,
sorry.
4
Two.
places.
2.
2 places in
Two.
the motion. We don't change it in estimated cost.
One in the motion and one in the estimated costs.
Oh, okay.
Some finance committee members are right once every 9 years. That would be-
Congratulations.
Okay,
Do
so
you
Diane,
do
your
you want
motion
me
is...
to repeat the
Yeah,
motion
that would be
again?
great, thank you.
There we go. I'll make a motion that we accept Article 8 Sewer Department Enterprise Fund budget with a total of $9,176,193.56.
Okay, and Chet, you're seconding that?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Lisa?
So I just want to confirm, the number that is in the bottom paragraph that says proposed motion, that has that 9,156,000, et cetera, that's the incorrect number, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like me to repeat the number again?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We got 12 to 0 to... Any abstentions? No. Okay, got that one all set. Next, we have Article 9. 9, which is on page 5. Water Department Enterprise Fund budget.
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion, but I'd like to make sure that the number's correct, so before we go back and forth 5 or 6 times, why don't you give us the correct number?
Well, thank you for that, Joel.
I'd be more than happy to do that. 61978336.00.
Could you repeat that?
I can. We're on water, correct?
Water sewer.
Yeah, 61978336.00. And mine says 193.
Excuse me, Vaughn?
We want to get the right number. It's 619783600.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Okay.
Vaughn?
3 places.
It's wrong in 3.
Wrong in 3 places.
Well, estimated cost, we don't change that anyway. We
Okay.
only worry about the motion.
Okay, excuse me, Vaughn.
Okay, I'm prepared to make the motion when you're ready.
Ready?
Okay. I'd like to move that we approve Article 9, Water Department Enterprise Fund Budget for fiscal year 2026 for $6,197,836. No cents.
In no sense, right?
No cents. 0
Thank you.
cents.
Do we have a second on that?
Me.
Diane's a second on that. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Lisa?
I'm just looking to see what the difference is from the 6,197,193 versus the 836 we just got.
It's roughly $700. Roughly 700. $700 increase roughly.
I'm just, where did we get notified that those changed? Is the book just getting updated on the fly that we're not getting updates on? I'm not sure about that.
No, ma'am, typographical error in the warrant article itself. If you refer to your budget book, if you look under the water enterprise, you will see 6197836 on the page. And you will also see for the, I think that was the one, right? Yeah. So 9176193 is also in your budget book itself, so you refer to those pages, that's where you'll get the answer. It's also in your general and enterprise summary. So it's a typographical error only in the town meeting warrant.
All right, thank you very much for that. We have a motion and a second on this. Any other discussion? Diane?
Thanks, Biz. On this article, you said there's a difference of $700. I would assume that $700 is in the enterprise revenue?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay, so
Yes.
we're not looking to take money from anywhere else?
No,
Okay,
ma'am,
thank you.
it's just typographical error on the warrant itself.
Okay, any other discussion? Lisa, it's your second time?
Yep, I'm just looking for that in the budget. This is an article, that wouldn't be, is that a line item in the budget?
All enterprise funds, like every other operating fund, has its own page. In this case, the Water Enterprise Fund is on page 86 of 88.
Okay, I see it, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? Chet, are you, are you, a yes?
No, I didn't put my hand up.
Sorry.
It was stuck there.
Swatting at a fly.
Okay, any abstentions? Okay, we have 12-0 on that. Okay, next we have Article 10.
All right, I'm going to recuse.
Thank you very much for that, Dave.
And before you ask, yes, the numbers do match.
Okay, looking for a motion on Article 10 as written in the warrant, Elliot? Okay, can you just turn the mic on and speak up?
As printed in the warrant,
Okay.
$498,771.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Try that again.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
498,000.
Big spender over there, Elliot, big spender.
Just,
Okay, so what is your motion, Mr. Hanson?
You want to redo that motion?
do you want me to issue a correction?
looking for a motion on Article 10. You got something over there?
Written in the warrant, $490,771.
Okay.
Want an instant replay on that?
Are you offering one over there or something? Okay, do we have a second on that? Second. Chet, you're the second. Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Article 10. All right, hearing none. All in favor? What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do we got? 3, 6, 7. Dave's recusing himself. 3. Arnie, you up or down? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? 10. Well, you. So you're 10. That's 10. Okay. All opposed? Any abstentions? Yeah. Hang on a second here. Dave already left the room. He's recusing himself. He's not here, so he's not going to vote because he's out of the room. Okay, 10 to 1 to 1, and all right. Okay, that's Article 10. Got that one squared away. Article 12, collective bargaining, library. Do we have a motion on Article 12?
I'll make a motion.
Chet?
I'd like to make a motion on Article 12, fund CBA for Stoughton Library Staff Union. Proposed motion is that the Stoughton vote to implement the terms of collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Stoughton, Stoughton Library Staff Union, Local 4928, AFT, AFL-CIO for 3 years, with the funds needed for the first year, FY26, to be appropriated under Article 14.
I'll second that.
Joel, you're the second on that? Okay. Any discussion? Lisa?
Hi, I'm just trying to understand, why is money being transferred from free cash on this? Can somebody give me the history on that and why that's necessary?
There is no money being transferred from free cash. You're looking at an article versus the motion. The motion is how we fund and not via the article.
I'm sorry, say that again?
There's two different avenues on this in a town meeting warrant. The first part is an article. So at the top, to see if the town will, that's an article. It's the motion, the proposed motion that creates the funding. So there is no use of free cash. So it's two different things. You promote your article, and then you do your motion. So there is no free cash with this.
Okay, so then can you help me understand when it says that said sum of money to be raised and appropriated, transferred from free cash and/or transferred from other available funds? I just want to be clear if any free cash will be used toward this. I don't understand why the word transferred from free cash is in the article. We're doing 13, correct?
No, I'll answer, thank you. So when we answer this, we have to have every single possible listing of appropriate funds that we can take from, be it the tax levy, be it transfer from free cash, any other funds, and as it says in the article, which is separate from the motion, it states transferred from other available funds. Now, the motion, they're two legally separate things. The motion is what we vote on, and the motion is what does the funding sources, not the article.
It's the reason, Lisa, why we want the motions here, at Finance Committee when we vote. It's one of the reasons why I've always requested to have the motions in our hand before we vote these, so we know what we're really voting. Otherwise, we'd be voting in the dark on the top stuff. So the motion is where the money's really coming from. The top's a list of suggestions or whatever, I guess. Was that a pretty good explanation, Biz?
That was
If somebody
perfect and
else
simpler.
could just help clarify that, because that's a little confusing in terms of,
Yeah, yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, if that's the right one. It's exactly what's been said, that the motion is the only thing that matters when it comes to appropriation. The article itself is more like, a summary idea of like the concept of what they're trying to do and what the potential sources might be. In the past, as Juan was saying, we used to just get the article without a motion, and we'd be like, well, what is that? And then the Finance Committee only wants to vote on what's real. And if we don't like what's in the article, we have to then take it upon ourselves to write somebody else's motion, which we hated doing, which is why Vaughn made it a policy to make sure that don't give us an article unless it has a motion, because we're not voting on articles. Only the motion appropriates the funds, not the article.
so to clarify, based on what the finance director said, is if I look toward Article 14, it gives the various, right, sources of revenue that it can come from, in free cash is not listed among them.
That is correct. Article 14 is the general operating budget for the town.
Are you good with that, Lisa?
I thought the finance director was indicating to look at, so we're just only looking in Article 12, that you weren't referring to another
We're on
article.
Article 12, right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Arnie?
Hi, clarification, if you could. Am I interpreting this right, that this is an open, a blank check, that whatever you negotiate is what you're going to be paying?
All contracts that have been negotiated and pending final negotiation, as previously discussed, the budgets are being held in the Human Resources budget, which is Department number 152, and I believe you will find it out under negotiated settlements. It's the last line in their salary section. So we don't just do a blank check. This has already been approved and ratified by the union and also ratified by the select board, the authority.
So let's make sure I get this correctly, is that you have a number, but it's not in the motion.
The number is actually, as previously addressed with the Human Resources Director several weeks ago, that money is being held in the Human Resources budget. So if you go to your budget, Department number 152, under Budget Forecast, you will see the notes that explain what contracts are in here. I think we have a hold of $90,000. I'm just shooting from the hip right now until I can get this up. So with that, under the notes, you will see that contract negotiations, and once this is completed, no funding was put into the department as we were doing the budgets because we did not have that final contract yet. Any questions you have on the individual contract itself, that will have to be deferred to the town manager when he returns. I could make a guess, but I'm not going to misspeak as to what the value was.
Could I just finish up, please? On here, on page 20 of the budget, it says unsigned contract funding, $90,000. Is this the amount that we're voting on in the motion?
No, all you're doing is what this happens here. You don't have any specific funding. All you're doing is allowing this contract to go to town meeting so that town meeting can say, yes, we're going to move forward with the CBA. In a CBA, you don't necessarily have the contract funding Here, it usually falls under the department itself, or it falls under the unsettled contract negotiation funding, which is in the human resources.
Could I just finish? I'm still confused here because I don't see what that amount is. I know it's a negotiation, but that goes back to my first question of,
And
is this, I said, is this a blank check? But
No, nothing is a blank check. If you go back to the notes from several weeks ago,
Yeah.
you will find out what that number was. I'm not the HR director. I do not have those figures in hand, but it's for more than one contract. That 90,000 is not just the library. If you refer to Article 12 and Article 13, those are also in there. And then we also have another contract that's currently being negotiated that will come up in the fall town meeting to approve the contract.
so that $90,000 is all the negotiations for the various unions?
That is
Sorry, but I'm confused where
That's
the
clear.
amounts are. I'm voting on a motion which has no dollar figure on it. I'm sorry, but I'm just confused on this.
Thank you for that. Dave?
Thank you, Vaughn. Yeah, I think what, in this situation, that we've been in this situation many times, this is not that unusual, where the negotiations are never ending. They just go on and on and on, and we can't just be the obstacle to them being able to keep it moving forward. So because they don't want to end up starting the new fiscal year with nothing if they're within inches of getting the whole thing done. So we try to keep it going, and one of the methods we've used, and I want to ask the body and possibly, the finance director, if it's appropriate, just to do a motion to refer to town meeting and let it get handled by them instead of a vote from
I
us.
wanna ask-
It's a refer to town meeting kind of thing.
Is this contract completely ratified? The
This
contract's
contract
completed,
is
correct?
completely ratified, yes. And it's standard, any article you have in a town meeting warrant, you can just refer to town meeting and leave it on the town meeting members. So it's up to the chair as to, and you all have to make a motion. I can't do that for you.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor already to fund this as is. Do we have any other discussion on this? Lisa?
Yeah, when you say to fund this as is, there's no dollar amount associated with it. I have a note in here that when the town manager was before us, right, it was 90, he had said 37,000, but we don't have, if he had an amount then, from then that's solidified, we should probably have that by now, after it's been more than a week. So I'm just going to abstain from this until I get better clarification. I don't like voting on things that have a dollar value when we don't have the dollar value.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Who made the motion, by the way? Was it
Chet made the motion, Joel seconded it.
Can I add?
Dave, do you have something else to
Yeah, I
add to
just want to
this?
ask if Chet, if you'd like to rescind that motion and make it a refer to town meeting and get it done that way, or do you prefer to get it up-down vote the way it is?
We have a motion and a second already on this, so,
Excuse me, yes, I would like to refer it to town meeting.
you don't want to vote it as is now?
No, I present my motion and refer to town meeting.
Okay. Okay, so Chet, what is your current motion on this then?
My current motion is on Article 12, Fund CBA for Stoughton Library Staff Union to refer to town meeting.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion to refer to town meeting to not actually approve on this thing then, right? Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carolyn?
I would just say, I'm opposed. Oh, I got two now. Thank you. I just want to say that I'm opposed to this motion. I mean, I can definitely see referring a a CBA to town meeting, like when we are getting the information right before town meeting, We've gotten the whole contract, that we had the whole memorandum we got to look at. We've read that. We've been told the money for this contract is it's in the budget, so it's already there. And it just would need to be transferred, I believe, from the Human Resources Department to the library once this CBA has been approved by town meeting. I don't think it can happen before then. So I think, if you think if it's a good contract, you think I don't believe the raises were anything out of the ordinary. There were some changes. We have the contract. We had the memorandum of agreement. I don't understand why people haven't read it. The money is in the budget. They set aside a reserve for these things, so it's there. I think just referring it to town meeting and refusing to make a decision is doing our fellow town meeting representatives a disservice. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Dave?
Well, the easy, opposite opinion is just that maybe not. Maybe 90,000 doesn't get negotiated, and then the 90,000 goes somewhere else. Then so what happens? Does it sit as a turn back in the HR budget, or does it, what exactly happens to the 90,000 if they end up taking 0 of the 90,000 or 45 of the 90? I don't know. It's up in the air.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of referring this to town meeting? We got 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let me just get the hands up again. Okay. Okay, thanks. All opposed? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Any abstentions? Okay, so that motion to refer fails. Looking for a motion.
I'll
Carolyn?
make a motion.
Joel?
Yeah, I would like to move that Article 12, funding the CBA for the Stoughton Library Staff Union for the portion for fiscal year 26 be approved and sent to a town meeting.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Carolyn's a second. Okay, Joel made the motion. Carolyn is a second. Okay. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, all opposed? There's 1. Okay. Oh, I'm going to count that right now. Any abstentions? Well, we got 4, and we got 5. I certainly hope so.
5, 6, 7. Yeah, we have 14 members. Okay.
Okay. Passes 8 to 1 to 5. Okay, that's Article 12. Timeout? You calling timeout, Dave?
Yeah, yes, I got the number. Oh, 14.
Okay. Is your timeout over now?
It is.
Okay, thanks. Article 13, collective fund the CBA for Town Hall Employee Association Union. Do we have a motion on Article 13?
Mr.
which is
Chairman,
on
I'll
page-
take another shot. I move that we approve of funding the CBA for the Town Hall Employee Association Union for the portion of fiscal year 26 and for the approval of town meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second on that? Carolyn? Carolyn's the second on that. Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this? Elliot?
Has this been ratified?
Yes, sir. If you look at the article itself, and this is the same thing for Article 12, I'm sorry I didn't point it out sooner. It says Article 12 is per MOA, which is the agreement, as well as Article 13 says per MOA. These have already been ratified. Welcome.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Okay, what do we got? 9, 10. 10? We get 10? Okay. All opposed? Any abstentions? We got, what do we got, 4? 4.
Oh, wait, we picked up, okay.
We got,
We picked up, so we're at 15 members.
Pick up another one?
yeah. Yeah, everybody's heard how much fun it is showing up, you know, so.
Constantly growing.
Okay, yeah. We get 15 here now. Okay, so that's 10 to 1 to 4, that passes. Article 13, all right, so that's done. We already did Article 14 and 15.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I will
Going
make a
to Article-
motion that we,
Do you
pass.
know what article we're on?
14.
We already did that. I'm just reading. That's all. We're going to jump down to Article 19.
Thank you.
Actually, you want to come back to this as stabilization, if anyone wants to come back to stabilization or what? Yeah, we'll do it now. Article 19. Page 12. This is deposit capital stabilization account. This is deposit to the capital equipment stabilization account.
I'll make a motion.
Did you,
I'll make a motion.
okay, Chet?
Article 18, create
We're on
capital...
19.
19.
Deposit to capital equipment stabilization account.
Oh, that's already
did that
passed,
the other
excuse me.
night, yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Sorry.
Article 19, deposit of capital stabilization account, general fund on enterprise. Proposed motion is that the town vote to deposit $100,000 to the capital stabilization fund, and that to meet this appropriation, $100,000 be transferred from free cash. 1 million, excuse me.
Okay, so what's your motion, Chet? Want to read it again?
Yeah. Proposed motion that the town would vote to deposit $1 million to the capital stabilization fund, and that to meet this appropriation, $1 million be transferred from free cash.
I'll second that.
Okay, Joel's the second. Okay,
I get Ellie.
Chet made the motion. Joel made the second on that. Any discussion on this?
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we confirm the amounts. There was a lot of changes made to stabilization. I know we're working against the same bottom line amount of money from free cash. How did we leave it in the discussions we've had? That, was there going to be an expectation with all the movement back and forth with the different numbers? Is the 1 million the right number? Because there was a lot of fluid movement over what should happen with each of these buckets.
That is the correct number.
That's the number we're working with?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion on Article 19? Hearing none. All in favor? Okay.
I think it's unanimous. Unanimous.
All opposed? Any abstentions? 0. Okay, 15 to 0. Okay. Article 19, done. Okay, we got Article 20, deposit to fire apparatus stabilization account. The article's on page 12. The motion is on page 13. Looking for a motion on this one.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept Article 20, deposit to the fire apparatus stabilization account, with the proposed motion that the town vote to deposit $1,150,000 to the fire apparatus stabilization fund, and to meet this appropriation, $1,150,000 be transferred from free cash.
Okay, Diane made the motion. Do we have a second? Carolyn? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Dave?
Yeah, thank you, Vaughn. I think this is the controversy over this was whether or not we were going to keep money aside, that it was going to be a borrowing article on the ladder truck vote, and but it was going to be paid in cash at the end of 4 years. I was on board with the idea that let's just get this thing done in cash, because we don't know our position in 4 years from now. I don't want to tie the hands of the town on a borrowing when everybody's intention is to make it cash. We have no idea whether it's going to be cash unless we lock it in now. I don't have as rosy a picture of like all the, money coming in from heaven on free cash again like we saw this year. This is the opportunity to fund it. I think we should fund it. And I think the money had to come from another stabilization account to make the difference. I think that's what was talked about. But, I mean, I'm open to hearing what others say about it. I just don't like an open-ended future, tying the hands of a future finance committee and town meeting on borrowing when it was intended to be cash from the get-go.
Thank you for that, Dave. Any other discussion on this?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, I also agree with that on Dave, on putting more money into this fire apparatus stabilization account. I don't know what we have even in free cash, once all these articles, what's sitting there that we could have to play with also, that we could add in there. Even if it's not the 2 million, if we add another $500, it doesn't matter. It's still more money in there that we can put in there. I think we should add more than just the 1,100,000.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion, Arnie?
Hi. I agree with Mark and Dave on that. If we have some extra money to put into that so it stays cash, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, Diane?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to Biz. After, and if this passes and we approve this $1,150,000, how much now will be in that stabilization fund?
The fire apparatus stabilization fund, if this is voted, will now have 1,221,667.85. The beginning balance on that account is 71,667.85. 71,667.85.
Yeah,
All right, any other discussion on this?
Yeah, so it'd be short,
Dave?
short almost a perfect $1 million. That's, give or take $20,000. I think that's where the number's short by. What is the amount of free cash not appropriated yet against what was already voted by Finance Committee?
My apologies. The free cash that you voted at the special town meeting, which is already completed, was $6,426,025.55. Yes, I can. 6,426,025.55.
That's the available balance that's not appropriated, or
Okay.
that's what's been appropriated
That's already
against?
been appropriated,
Against
correct.
12,700.
Correct.
But you took 700 as a hold back, it's a hold on the 700, right? Or 866?
Right.
Something like
so
that.
What we have right now at this town meeting, if everything is voted appropriately at town meeting, we will be spending $5,374,827.01. So what that will give us is the remaining balance will be $921,596.44 with a holdback, which is required and recommended by the Department of Revenue. I believe the holdback, I think it was 886.
Heard
is what the-
866, I think.
Yeah, I
think it
know
was.
that the select board did a proclamation or something to hold that back. So that would leave us
About 60 grand.
about 60 grand, right.
All right.
And the reason for the holdback, as you all know from last year, is it helps to promote our free cash going forward, and it's also a positive impact on our bond rating. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. What do we got here? 10, okay. All opposed? What do we get, 3? Okay.
This is a vote for the full amount of the...
Hang on a second. We're going to recount this, okay. All in favor of the motion?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11, so now we have 11, okay. All opposed?
4.
We get 4 on there? Okay. Any abstentions? Okay, there we go. 11 to 4 to 1. Yeah, very good. 16, correct. Absolutely.
I'd just like to add a sentence to the report on the minority vote. And I'm going to write down that with cash now up to $2,200,000 approximately.
Okay, when you're done,
With
right?
cash now up to 2.2 million approximate, we will preserve cash instead of borrowing in 4 years. Okay.
No, let's go over it now. Get this done. Okay, so you want to add a sentence from the minority view, with cash now up to 2.2 million approximately, we will preserve cash instead of borrowing in 4 years?
Yes.
So you want to say that the people who voted against voted because, you just want to, like, okay, tell me the sentence, with cash now up to 2.2 million approximately, we will preserve cash instead of borrowing in 4 years. That's the sentence you want?
Yeah. I mean, it could have been worded differently, where it was just another $1 million added, would have been a different way to write it, but that's...
I know it does, I know, but if that's the sentence he wants, and, okay, so the people who are in the minority vote on that, are you all good with that? Okay? Yes, raise your hand, so we know. Arnie, you good with that? You voted against? Yes? Okay, so the 4 of you good with that? The sentence will be, with cash now up to 2.2 million approximately, we will preserve cash instead of borrowing in 4 years. Okay, there we go. There's your sentence. Okay. Article 20 is completed. We will now go to Article 23.
I'll make that motion, Chairman.
Okay, Article 23 is Sewer Department Capital. Chet, you want to make a motion on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Article 23, Sewer Department Capital. Proposed motion is that the town vote to appropriate and fund from Sewer Department enterprise retained earnings $65,000 to design.
650,000?
650,000. Is that what I said? Yeah, okay. To design, permit, install, and construct and purchase capital improvement projects and items for the sewer department, all as set forth in the chart below. Would you like me to read the chart, Mr. Chairman?
If you'd like to, you don't have to. You can just say as stated in the chart below, be close enough. But if you really want to do your reading voice, we can do that. I mean,
As stated in the chart below.
okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, Joel's the second on that. Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor? How am I doing? Am I doing good? He got tired, you know. It takes a while to count. Come on. 15? 15. Okay. All opposed? So we got 16 to 0. Any abstentions? No. Okay. That's Article 23. Okay, we're going to go to Article 24, which is on page 17. We have a motion for this one.
I'll make a motion.
Chet? Okay.
I'm on a roll. Article 24, Water Department Capital. Proposed motion that the town vote to appropriate and fund $460,000 to design, permit, install, and construct, and purchase capital improvements projects and items for the water capital projects, all set forth in the chart below.
Okay, I want to confirm the amount. What's the total amount?
Where was I? Yeah,
460,000.
yeah.
Chet, $460,000? Perfect, okay. And it's set forth in the chart below. All right?
Yes.
Motion? Do we have a second on that? Diane, okay. Diane's the second. Chet made the motion. Diane made the second on that, Article 24. Any discussion on this? Joel?
It's not so much discussion, I'm just looking for clarification. What was that total number again, sir?
$460,000 to design, permit, install, and construct and purchase capital improvements projects and items for the water capital projects, all is set forth in chart below.
So basically, it's for the Goddard Well PFAS design for $300,000 and the backhoe for $160,000.
That's correct.
Okay, the original water main improvements phase 6 of $1.5 million is not included in this motion.
It has been moved to the special town meeting that you voted last week.
Okay, I wasn't here. Okay, thank you. All
So,
right.
Chet, is your
Now
motion
clear.
excluding item 1 then? Is your motion excluding item 1?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, Diane, you're the second. Any other discussion? Dave?
Yeah, thank you, Vaughn. I just wanted to make sure, like, do we have to clean up the motion here in order to make it less confusing on the floor of town meeting? Or do you feel that there's a note that kind of takes care of this for when we go to town meeting? What would be the best way to put this article in the book?
Going to town meeting, the motion is up to the finance committee essentially. But if you look at item 1, under the motion, it says water main improvements, 1,500, tabled to special town
We can
meeting.
just remove that.
So it's been deferred.
Okay, so we'll just remove that on the motion.
We can remove it.
Yeah,
Yep.
Chet removed it already because he said excluding that, so.
Yeah, but the book doesn't have to show extra stuff. That's-
Right, we're going to remove
Yeah,
item
we're-
1 from the book.
That's it.
There we go, perfect.
So you want to rename that to item 1 and 2, or you're just going to do item 1 removed? Okay, that works. for
Yeah,
me.
Chet, do you want to rename item 2 to item 1 and item 3 to item 2?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Diane, you're the second. Chet made the motion. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? 16 to 0. Any abstentions? 0. Perfect. All right. I think there's 16. You want to call it here? You calling timeout? Dave's calling a timeout right now to count. Okay, that's Article 24 completed.
What was the vote on Article 23? Because I wrote 15. Did we have 16?
16.
We had 16. And on Article 19, was that also 16?
15 probably.
15, I have Article 19 was 15. Article 20 was 1141. That makes the 15, that's 16 then, okay. 16 members. Okay. Thank you. Timeout's over.
You good? Okay. Next, we have Article 26. No, we did 25 the other night.
It's 26, 25
20
was voted previously.
26, Public Works and Facilities Capital.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Wolk.
if we are on Article 26, I would request that we vote on these individual items. Some of the items I think are, in my opinion, acceptable. Some of the other items I think are somewhat questionable, so I would prefer to do it that way. In that regard, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that on the Public Work, Article 26, Public Works and Facilities Capital, that we approve, I'm going to go out of line because I'm going to go to the ones that I think should be approved, and if somebody else wants to do the others, I'm going to be against them. So, item 3, 15-passenger van for recreation for $60,000. I move that we approve this and move it to town meeting.
Okay, so you're making a motion just on item 3 of Article 26.
That's correct.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Okay, motion and a second to approve Article 3 in the amount of $60,000. Is that correct, Joel?
Yes.
Okay. Any yes, Mark?
That'd be Article 26, Item 3, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Because you said Article 3.
Oh, I
All right. I just wanted to make sure that we're...
Thank you for pointing that out.
Throw something.
Thank you. I should call a timeout, too. Okay. Any discussion on this? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so we have 15 to 1. Okay, any abstentions? Okay. That one passed. Do we
Mr.
have
Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Wolk.
Article 26, Public Works and Facilities Capital, item number 5, the Town Hall Safety Audit for $75,000. I move that we approve this and move it forward to town meeting, be funded by free cash.
You calling a timeout, too?
Something wrong?
Yeah, first of all, if I recall, the town manager said that that 75,000 was a huge overestimate. It was far less than that, and that they were going to be able to do it within the budget. Can
Well-
somebody else correct me? That should not be on here, I believe.
Okay, we have a motion. Let's get the second, then we'll have the discussion on it. Do we have a second on that one? Elliot, you're doing the second on that, on Joel's motion? Okay. Lisa, that's your question then? Biz, do you have an answer on this?
I do not recall what the town manager may have said. Town hall safety audit, I don't have the estimates. I couldn't begin to answer. I'm sorry.
Okay. Carolyn?
I have something similar in my notes. It said that as a $75,000 audit, they were going to remove it and cover it.
Okay. So,
we still have the motion.
okay.
So
Cynthia,
remove item 5? Is that the?
hang on a second. Hang on a second. Cynthia, did you have something to add? Because I happen to see a hand up over here. Cynthia, please identify yourself for the record.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. I know this isn't a public hearing, but I have in my notes that the manager said that this was going to be withdrawn. He meant dismissed, but I wrote what he said.
Okay, thank you very much for keeping excellent notes there, Cynthia Walsh. Yes, I'm aware of that. Okay, so we have motion a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? The motion, okay. There was a motion to approve the town hall safety audit for the $75,000. Some discussion occurred. You can interpret whatever you want from the discussion. So now we're voting that motion because it's already been made and seconded. So if you agree with the motion for the 75, you would vote yes. If you don't agree, you would vote no. Okay? We good? You're welcome. All in favor? Oh, Dave. I totally. Okay. We almost had one. Thanks, Dave. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the motion fails. All right.
Vaughn, is it proper to make a motion to remove this from?
We don't really need.
No,
we don't really need
I
to
think we
remove it.
could, I think we can do a consented agreement.
We can just approve all the other four
All the other four,
theoretically
yeah.
and just
One,
make a
2,
note
and-
on the.
1, 2, and 4. We already voted 3.
We
So it'd
voted
be
3.
voting 1, 2, and 4.
Carolyn?
Yeah, I have a question. Would this be something that we would just make a motion to refer to town meeting with the indication that it's going to be withdrawn?
We can do that if you want. If you want to make that motion, we can do that,
Yeah,
Carolyn.
I think that would be
No,
clearer
no.
for everyone so they understand when they're reading the warrant.
No.
Okay, Carolyn, you're making the motion to do that. What's the motion going to be?
Make a motion to refer Item 5, the town hall safety audit of $75,000 to town meeting.
That was already voted.
Okay.
That was,
Hang on a second.
Jesus.
It was voted again, the motion was
Three-
voted
three
down.
and
I'm making a new
five.
motion.
Can I make a friendly amendment to that, Vaughn?
Well, she didn't finish the motion yet. Refer to Article 5 to town meeting with the understanding that it's going to
That
be
we were
withdrawn.
told that it was going to be withdrawn.
We can do that, or we can just not even fund it, and then we can make a note at the bottom if you want. I mean, whatever you want to do. Okay, we have a motion, refer to Article 5 to town meeting with the understanding will be with... Item 5, yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
may,
Biz.
the motion itself does not include the safety, number 5. The items stop at number 4. So the motion would only be 1 through 4.
It's already gone. It's not even, it's not
Right.
even... Okay,
Okay.
perfect. So we don't even have to talk about Article 5.
I don't think so,
so
no.
we didn't have to vote, we just,
Dave, we would just see if we
Erase
could
the
get you to vote for something.
I
that's all.
know, and you almost did.
Okay, do we have a motion on item 1, 2?
I need a motion on item 1 so I can say no.
Okay, do you want to make the motion on item 1? Caroline?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of item 1, unforeseen building facility maintenance in the amount of $75,000 as listed in the chart.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Diane's the second, Caroline made the motion, Diane's the second.
I have a
A,
discussion.
Article 26, item 1, motion and the second. Any discussion? Joel?
Yes, I took a look at this, and I took a look at the, once again, at the, what was written by the DPW head about this. Basically, this is an additional $75,000 because he felt the amount in the operating budget was too low, and by doing this, it gives him the opportunity to access free cash, whereas if it were part of the operating budget, he probably wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think that this was very clear on how this was going to be done. And for those of you who remember last year, you weren't here, Biz, but Mr. Jaffoon, when I asked him about that beautiful sign in front of DPW, his answer was, well, we found $10,000 here, and we found $10,000 there, and another $10,000 here. And if they have enough money in their budget right now to accommodate now 2 of these beautiful signs, I don't see any reason why we should vote an additional $75,000, and therefore I would vote against this.
Thank you for that, Joel. Any other discussion? Dave?
All right, I'll go. I just want to correct the previous speaker because it wouldn't be free cash if it was in an article. That would be if there was the extra money in his operating budget. So this would allow him to keep the account open past the deadline of a budget. The budget ends on June 30th, where the article could be an open account, sort of like we saw with articles that had to be cleaned up and whatnot. But it wouldn't be free cash. It would be a different story. I mean, not to say that an article couldn't be, it's kind of general, right? It doesn't say what's unforeseen. So I could see it being applied to different things, as an open article account, in effect doing the same thing you're talking about. But I do think that a DPW trying to maintain services in the town needs some kind of flexibility in the kinds of things that happen. We saw $500,000 just evaporate on snow removal because of things that, who would have known that we would have had ice, sub-degree weather, on weekends with hardly any snow, but there it went. It just evaporated. So DPW, if any department experiences unforeseen, that's the one that does. That's the one that experiences a lot of it. So that's why I'm kind of in favor of it.
Thank you for that, Dave. Biz, I want to clarify the funding on this, item 1.
Yes, sir. Item 1 has a free cash funding of 5878, which is $5,878. The balance of the 75,000 is from closing out articles from, each one of them are from 2020. So we're closing out old articles to fund this, 5,878 from free cash.
All right, thank you for that. Everyone can look at this on page 19. I just wanted to be clear with what the funding was on this. Okay. Carolyn?
Yeah, I'm going, I also would recommend that we approve this. I believe when, I agree with the previous speaker, the Director of Public Works said he didn't want to put this money specifically in the budget because that would increase the budget amount for every year. And he just, so that's why he did it as an article, so that it was there, but it would not be an ongoing budgetary expense.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion? Lisa?
So I have a related but kind of general question. So all these items that we're voting on in this article have various funding sources, some free cash, some other coming from other projects. This is a clarifying question for me to understand. If we voted no, these other project costs, do they then become turnbacks into free cash, or they have to go back to the fund, the place from which they came? And then, and if that's the case, because I see you saying yes, if that's the case, then how do we zero them out and bring them back to the general fund and then into a stabilization fund? Did I just say that right?
The balances on these all come from different avenues. The only way that you can get these back into whatever funding sources they came from is via town meeting vote. So if you do not vote these being allocated this town meeting, it would have to go to the next town meeting, assuming we have one in November. Then you'd have to go back, and I would have to say, like the stormwater upgrades, that was probably a borrowing or something. So I have to go back and research where the funding come from. And if we're going to go back, we're going to revote these, it can't be done until the fall.
So just for clarifying purposes, so when you said, I understand that it has to come back as an article into town meeting. So to use your example, if it's a funding article, what could the article read at town meeting so that it's going to, so that it can be closed out on behalf of the taxpayers into a stabilization fund? Is that, how would that work?
You cannot post directly into a stabilization fund from these type of things. You would go to town meeting. You would close out these articles at town meeting, and town meeting vote would say return to the undesignated fund balance or the free cash balance, if that's where the original funding came from. If it came from the building stabilization fund, it would have to be returned to building stabilization. So where it came from is where it goes back to, and I could not begin to tell you where that would be in the fall at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other discussion on this? Arnie?
Something a previous speaker just mentioned sort of caught my attention. That was Joel. And he said something interesting, because I always thought that that $75,000 was for a building that needed an addition or a heating system or some piece of equipment that needs unforeseen maintenance that they didn't cover. And Joel mentioned something about the electronic signs. And that's what, I don't think that's what that fund is for. But can we purposely say that that is not for electronic signs?
I don't believe that we could.
But I think Joel has a good point.
All right, any other discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay. What do we got? You get 11? 7, 8. You get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. You get 12, because down here too, right? Linda? Okay, it's 12, okay. All opposed? Any abstentions? There we go, 0. Okay, so we're all set on item 1. Okay, do we have a motion for item 2, the used bucket truck?
I'll make the motion that under Article 26 for Public Works and Facilities Capital, item number 2 is the used bucket truck for $60,000.
I'll second.
Motion and a second on this. Any discussion? Joel?
Yes. I have a lot of difficulty with this, a used bucket truck. I know that under the state procurement laws, since this is over $50,000, they're going to have to go out and get 3 sealed bids. And frankly, I don't know how many people are going to provide a sealed bid for a used bucket truck. The thing that bothers me is that if it's used, that means that we end up having to be responsible for any extensive maintenance and repairs on a used truck. We still have to pay the insurance on it. It was stated during the public hearing that this truck is only going to be used occasionally, so I don't see any reason why they just couldn't go out and rent a bucket truck to do it. So I don't believe this is a good investment for the town, and I would be against it.
Okay, Joel, I want to read an email I just got recently. I spoke with the DPW superintendent. The backup information for this with this article is for research purposes. We do not intend to purchase from North Carolina. The town will follow Mass General laws regarding procurement when and if it comes time to purchase. I guess this.
That's what I just stated.
Yeah, I'm saying, but I guess that's the response.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just reading the information, you know what I mean? So they spoke with DPW, and the backup information was just for research purposes.
No,
So-
I understand that,
Okay.
Ron. That's
Just-
why I said, under the state procurement laws, this would be something over $50,000. They have to get 3 sealed bids,
Yep.
and that means they have to go out and ask for a really used truck. I just don't see it as a good
Okay.
investment for the town.
Okay. All right. So, any other discussion on this? Lisa. Oh, it's candy time.
No, thank you.
Lisa.
So didn't we just have an auction last year getting rid of a bucket truck?
I don't know what was on the auction
I
list.
tend to agree with the previous speaker's rationale on this. I'm a no vote on this. We just got rid of one.
Okay, maybe it's to buy the same one back. I don't know. Okay. Any other discussion on this? Diane, you have anything on this?
I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I spoke out at the meeting about a used bucket truck. I'm not a big fan of buying, especially items for the town that way. And yes, I think they could probably, if they're not going to use it all that much, just rent it for the time they're going to need it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Dave.
Thank you, Vaughn. You know what happens when you don't buy a used bucket truck? You're not paying $60,000. You're going to need a bucket truck. You're going to end up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for a new bucket truck under procurement laws and whatnot. And those bucket trucks go up and do high up things on the 4th floor of an old town hall that's going to be apparently getting a new front lawn. And they're going to have to probably do work to be careful about what ends up, going on around that building. There's going to be projects in which you have to reach very tall trees in order to clear something out because you have to make room for something or other. There's always a need for a bucket truck. That's what the feedback I got when I was vetting this same article. And they said, no, on this kind of equipment, it's not like a backhoe where you have to buy something new. This is a bucket truck. It works beautifully as a used piece of equipment. If they can't buy something at the $60,000, then it just comes back into the fund and they make use or rent
like the previous speaker suggested, until it makes more sense, and then they revisit it again in the future. But from what I understand, they use it often enough, as long as they're not using it for ill-advised purposes which destroy machines, like when they take machines and they start using them as plows and other, changing their purpose and using them incorrectly when they ruin things. As long as they're not doing that, we're fine with a used bucket truck. We should be using that instead of new. We get into this whole, what happens also? You end up with this mode of, we got to have shiny objects all the time. You know how many we have like the graveyard of shiny objects. We are like the envy of the South Shore, because it was a tradition that started a couple decades ago, before my time. It's like, wow, we got a lot of shiny stuff here, and every year we're buying more of them. It's like, why do we keep needing shiny objects? I don't know. But the fact that they're being more careful with the way they think through, what could we get away with used instead of buying new? I suggest we all vote yes, approve this, unless they can't buy it, and then they come back and figure it out in another year. But we should be encouraging them to do this kind of thing, not discouraging it.
Thank you very much for that, Dave. Any other discussion? Jonna?
Thank you, Vaughn. I really wasn't sure which way I wanted to go, but once Dave spoke and brought that to our attention, I think he's making an excellent point. And just seeing how much cars are even nowadays, I mean, $50,000 for a car is nothing. Well, it isn't, it's a lot, but it's, so for a bucket truck, I think he makes an excellent point, and I'm going to now vote yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion? So Dave, you're in favor of this as long as it's not shiny, right?
Correct.
Just wanna
No
be clear.
rust. Just
Heidi?
rusty gold.
I think getting a used bucket truck is fine. I don't care if it's used or if it's new. I don't think $60,000 is a lot, but I just think of, like, in my experience, like driving up and down like Washington, seeing the DPW put things up in the center of town. They are always using a bucket truck. We always talk about, oh, Stoughton looks crappy, or, whatever. And this is like our one opportunity to get a bucket truck to help make Stoughton look pretty during all of our seasons. All the banners that go up, for our veterans, all the flags that go up. Every season there's a change in something. And guess what they're going to be using to do all of that? A bucket truck.
Thank you for that. Any other discussion? Lisa?
I'd just be curious to know, what have they been using to get all that stuff up once we got rid of the old bucket truck? I mean, I understand Dave's point. That is a good point. I just don't, what irks me is we just got rid of one. Why did we get rid of one just to get a new one?
I don't know
I
the
mean,
stat. I don't
a
know the-
used one.
I don't know the status of the one we got rid of. Chet?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason why we got rid of the other one is because the hydraulics are bad on it. And hydraulics are very important when you're 40 feet in the air. As far as the downtown, they have been using the fire department alarm small bucket truck, like you see for Verizon, things like that. It doesn't go 40 feet, it goes up maybe 20 feet. And that's what they have been using. A bucket truck is a good thing to have because there's a lot of areas in this town, especially Pine Street, which is a historical street, that they have a lot of trees that need to be trimmed. And Eversource or whoever does electrical, I don't know what they are now, but they don't really trim that because it's a historical street. So there is areas in this town that do need to have trees trimmed so we don't have power outages. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Chet. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Okay. What do we got here? We get 12? You sure? I think there's more than 12. I'm thinking we get 15. Are you raising your hand or no? Okay. We have 14? 14? Okay. All opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? Okay, 14-2. Okay, that passes. That's item 2. Okay, looking for a motion on item 4.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Okay, Joel?
Item 4, record storage for the clerks for $25,000. I am making this motion as a separate one because I don't feel that $25,000 will be enough. I wanted to go on the record that this is what we voted for and asked to move forward. So I will approve $25,000.
Okay, Joel and Johnny, are the second on that? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor? Yeah, John has hands up. Okay, we get 15. Okay. All opposed? None. Any abstentions on this? 1. Okay, that is item 4, Article 26. That went very well. No, we still got more to go. We're not done. Oh, yeah, I think we've completed. Okay, we're going to hop over to, we already did 27. We did Police Department Capital already. We did 28. We did 29.
Vaughn?
Yes, Mark.
What's the final cost for that, for Article 26? Because we did them individually, I just wanted to double check the final cost.
I'm thinking the final cost would be probably 220.
That is correct.
20, Article
Thank you.
26.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, 220. Yeah, but we subtracted off the 75 because 16, 16, 75, and 25 adds up to 220. Yes, Lisa.
Shouldn't that be summarized in the book where it says proposed motion?
Well, it's in the book. It's going to say that the town vote to appropriate, all that stuff in the
We're
bottom.
going to do it individually at
And
the
then
town as
individually,
well?
there is no item 5 on here, so each one will have a separate vote. It'll show what the vote is. Okay, 28 we did, 29, we're going to go to Article 30, School Department Capital. Looking for a motion on this one. You want to do 27? We already did 27. We'll do it again? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Biz, I just want to,
27 was voted,
13 is 0-0.
yes.
Last week, I guess. Wednesday of last week, maybe?
It was a couple weeks ago. I don't think you were here.
Carolyn made the motion, Elliot seconded.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm getting a little confused. Article 27 was the Police Department capital,
Yes.
okay? Article 25 is Information Technology capital.
Yes.
Right. Now, we had hearings, public hearings on all of these items.
Yes.
Last week on Wednesday, we started voting, but the only thing we voted on was Article 14, as I recall, or was I wrong?
I think that's incorrect. I believe we started voting Thursday before that.
Thursday was supposed to be only on the special town meeting, according to
No,
the
I
agenda.
think the prior Thursday, not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before the Thursday. 2 weeks ago.
All right, I wasn't there, so you must have done it after, okay.
We took votes before we went into special.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. We had to do that so you wouldn't know about it. Thank you.
But now everyone knows, so. Article 30. Article 30, School Department Capital, looking for a motion on this one. Carolyn?
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the items in Article 30 for a total of, do I need to do them separately, or is just
You can
as
do them
listed?
total, yeah.
The total of, I believe, $719,726 to cover a firewall replacement, wireless access points, and a redistricting study.
Second.
Okay, Carolyn, Dave's the second on that. Motion and a second, 719, 726 for all that stuff noted in the chart below. Any discussion on this? Jonna?
Is there any way we could take out the redistricting and do it separately?
Well, we have a motion on the total here. I mean, if the maker of the motion wanted to do that, I'd allow it, but if the maker of the motion wants to keep it bundled, then so be it.
Out of courtesy, I'll allow it.
Thank you.
You want to have, okay, so you want to redo the motion on this thing?
Yeah. Motion to recommend approval of item 1 and item 2, firewall replacement, item 1 in the amount of $168,338, and item 2, wireless access points in the amount of $461,388.
Okay, so your motion is to approve item 1 and 2.
Right, recommend approval of those
With,
two.
yeah, we recommended approval with the dollar amounts listed in here, 163. Okay. Joel? Oh, Joel made the second on it, so. Okay, so Carolyn made the motion, Joel is the second on items 1 and 2 combined.
I think it's 629,726.
Thank you, David.
That's the number I got. Yeah, I just whipped. I did it with the
What was your total there, Dave?
I have 629,726.
Okay. Okay, motion is second. Any discussion on this? Lisa?
Just briefly, isn't firewalls and wireless access points something that would be handled as part of maintenance? I'm just curious.
In my opinion, no.
In the past, hasn't it, it's been done as part of maintenance, hasn't it?
It's every 5 years. It's every 5 years.
Not a yearly thing.
Yeah, the amount would be capital. Any other discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Items 1 and 2, yeah? Okay. All opposed? Okay, so we have 15 to 1. Any abstentions? 0. Okay, items 1 and 2. Okay. Okay, now we're looking for a motion on item 3. Carolyn?
I'd like to recommend that this committee recommend approval of item 3, the redistricting study in the amount of $90,000.
Heidi, you the second on that? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Jonna?
I just don't like this idea. I don't believe we have to do it, and I want to vote against it, and I'm glad that you separated it, and I thank you for that.
All right, any other discussion? Elliot?
Is it my understanding or am I wrong that the redistricting will not be necessary if we vote on or don't vote for the new school?
My understanding is that redistricting will happen either way.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? Dave?
The way I understand it, there's either going to be a really big redistricting if they end up consolidating schools. If they just put in a neighborhood school in the south and leave the Wilkins alone, then you'll still have redistricting because the town is going through a lot of changes. There's a lot of shifting with where people are living. There's an influx of a lot more people, a lot more students. So there's going to be a need for redistricting. It's big enough where they're going to need a study for it. So I'm in favor of it because they're going to have to redistrict either way, just as the previous speaker mentioned.
All right. Carolyn?
Just to clarify that, yeah, I mean, I agree, the previous speaker's correct. There's going to be redistricting either way. I don't know if one will be bigger than the other, because if the school is approved, they'll be redistricting once that's, for the, of the entire town. If the school's not approved and they need to get modulars, there will be redistricting around the entire town because they'll have to move the modulars, and then they may need to redistrict. And that's what they need the study to figure that out.
All right, thank you for that. Lisa?
Yep, according to the school committee, it will definitely be a bigger redistricting if there's a consolidated, and modulars have nothing to do with it. If they won't need a townwide modular if they vote for a neighborhood school. But with regard to redistricting, it is a significant difference, but they do have to hire a consultant. So I'm for this.
All right, thank you very much for that. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, we got 14 to 2. Any abstentions? Okay, none. 14 to 2 to 0. That was approved. We got 31, 32. Well, we're just going to double check everything, yeah? Biz, do you see anything else that,
I don't see anything else from the financial standpoint, no.
we have a bunch of zoning stuff that we didn't get. Oh, yes. 15, 18, yes, we did that. I think that was the first vote we took.
What was the vote on Article 33?
Article 33, I don't know.
That was the stabilization fund. You had already voted to establish the stabilization fund.
Yes, that was 11 to 0 to 2. Article 33, the vote was
Hey,
9 to 3.
all right, timeout.
Timeout, you calling timeout, Ted?
I'm calling timeout. So the public spoke, the previous speaker spoke asking about Article 18. The first article of the night was Article 33.
I'm talking a few nights ago.
Oh,
Yeah, Article 18
Article
was a few
18.
nights ago. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and Article 18, the vote was 11
Oh,
to
I got
0
it.
to
11, I got that. I have that also. Okay, yeah, that was March 13th, for anybody who wants to know when that happened. So March 13th is when the vote for Article 18.
Was that when you also did Article 33?
33 tonight.
Tonight, that was the first article tonight.
Yes, we
Town hall.
did that first so that Craig could leave.
And we did did we do a Article 32? Did
Yes.
that happen already the other night?
13 to 0 to 0.
1300.
Excellent notes over there, Heidi.
Yeah, there are a lot of pages of notes. All right, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
I think we're good.
All right.
Biz, we checked everything off? I think we're
I have
good.
everything checked off.
Okay, perfect.
Excuse me, Vaughn, can I ask a question on our Finance Committee budget? I know you sent me, I had sent an email requesting the percentage of debt we had inside budget exclusive of enterprise and the CPC funds, and I know you sent me, I asked for it twice, like over a week ago, and I know I got, the debt does not become part of the budget until borrowed, which basically is the department that says retirement of debt, which is actually reflective of the debt dollar amount that's on the book. But what I'm asking for is what percentage of, so with regard to our budget, I see consultant and legal fees or,
You're referring to the Finance Committee budget?
yes, just to, I know we got the percentage. I mean, I thought we could get that number from our accounting department here, but we got it last year in April from Hilltop. So
Well,
is that,
that's not really part of our budget discussion, but
well, it is part of a budget discussion in terms of, in order to see what percentage of our budget, this is over $140 million budget, we should probably know what inside debt we have as a percentage of that budget,
okay, so you want to know out of the total budget, what percentage of...
exclusive of enterprise and CPC funds.
All right. Biz, is there a way to calculate that? I mean, it would be just the budget line in here, wherever the debt line is, and page whatever that number was, do the division of that off the total amount, so...
Well, that debt, that piece of paper that you showed me, it includes excluded debt, it includes enterprise and
No,
CPC.
There's a page in the budget.
That says retirement of debt
Yeah,
funds.
I forget. Yeah.
That doesn't,
There are individual lines on there. If you take the individual lines on that page,
well, it says borrowing expenses.
Right.
That's not pulling out. I want to compare apples to apples. Hillside gave us that number. And that's the calculation that I'm looking for, so we can see consistently, are
You
we
would take-
dropping? We're supposed to be between 4% and 6%
You would take
inside.
those dollar amounts, whatever they are each line, you would divide that by the total amount of the budget. What page is it on? I
This
don't know
is-
what page it's on.
It doesn't say it on the email. Hold on a minute. Yeah, they don't have a page number on it.
Retirement, what are we looking for? Not retirement, retirement of debt.
So they have in here school short-term interest, town short-term interest, school long-term interest excluded, town. I'm not familiar enough with this to be
Yeah.
able to make that calculation. So
Oh,
if,
okay.
I
I was going to
was,
say, you would take, like, for example, town debt principal, whatever that number is, you would take that total amount there, 1521,400, you divide that by the total
but you're
budget.
talking way too fast there, Vaughn. Slow it down.
So you
Come
would take-
again?
You would take, if you wanted to find out anything in the whole budget and find out what percentage that is of the total budget, I'm not going to get into specific. Let's say there's a line in here to buy apples or something. Okay, and let's just pretend the apple budget is $1 million. And let's pretend the whole budget's $100 million. You would take the $1 million, divide by 100 million, and they'd end up with 1%. So in that example, which is not hopefully in here because people get mad at me about apples, then you'd say, okay, the apple portion of the budget
Okay,
is 1%
I
of the
understand
total.
your general sense of the calculation, but there is a calculation that Hillside uses. I'm sorry, Hilltop, I always say Hillside, I don't know why, but Hilltop Security uses. So I'm just looking for that formula that they're using so we can compare it and keep a trend of how we're going. I don't want to do that willy-nilly, and that's why I asked for that calculation. So
Biz, is there a way we can get whatever the formula was that Hilltop used? I don't know what they use. I'm just telling you from a math standpoint how you would do it.
no,
There's
I
too many
get that, but there's
variables involved.
algorithms and formulas that the Hilltop is using, and I want to be consistent when I'm doing comparisons.
Is there a way we can get that?
They had a
basic formula?
2.5% last year, exactly at this point in time. It's 2.5.
And based on, to Vaughn, through you, to expand upon that, we've had debt roll off and on, so that's why all these factors go into that formula.
Okay, can we look into getting that? Well, I don't know what the formula was they had. Is there a way to get that, Biz, what the formula was they used?
Mr. Chair, if you could go ahead and send me an email, but I will say at this point in time, inside, if you take simply under retirement of debt, you take out everything that says excluded, then your inside debt, of which you do have to include short-term interest borrowing expenses when you're doing this type of projection, we have, just taking those out, 3123-22349. I will repeat that.
I'm sorry, can you say that
I will repeat it
again?
slowly. 3123-223.49. So with the retirement of debt, yes, it is below. I think it's 10% would be 14 million. Take out half of that would be 7 million. So we have
So we could divide 3123,223.49 by the total budget, and you'd get up.
In which total budget are you using? Is that excluding this, through you, Vaughn, the enterprise and CPC funds? I don't see.
Yes, that would be excluding it.
Yes, this is only general fund debt,
Okay, so what's the total budget?
excluding the school and the fire department that we have right now. It's 3123.223.49.
Okay, but what's the
No,
total?
The
budget?
total budget.
Total budget without CPC and enterprise.
That's it.
No, the total budget,
No, the
budget,
total
not the debt.
budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit. You want to know what's the inside debt.
And it's
On the
3123,223.49.
That is the operating budget inside, and then we have the excluded debt, which is the fire department.
No,
Dave, hang on a
No,
second.
no, I'm
Dave,
just pointing out what's in your budget report. If you take out the things that say excluded, you reduce those, so your actual inside the debt is 3123.223.49. I want to be very clear that anything associated with an enterprise fund is not part of the operating budget in any way, shape, or form. They're responsible for their own debt within their own budgets.
Okay, now, do we have a total operating budget, I think is the question.
Yeah.
That's not included in the enterprise anyway.
No, it's not included in the enterprise anyway. The actual budget, which you should all have in front of you, is 141,960,660. So we're looking at roughly 2.5%, so we are consistent on the debt. Now, I also want to point out that we have a number of projects that we haven't borrowed for. So once we borrow for those projects, your debt's going to go up.
But we haven't actually borrowed for them. So at this point in time, we would take 3,123,223.49, divide by 141,960,660, and you'd get a number. Whatever that number would be your percentage.
And it's approximately 2.5%.
And is the fire station all in on this
So
debt?
we don't
number?
have to back out enterprise.
There's new debt coming in on the
There's
project,
new debt coming in on all kinds of projects that...
including the fire.
Including the fire that town meeting voted on, including roads, including not the water mains, because that's separate, roads, equipment, everything that the town's voted. We have $50 million outstanding, authorized, unissued. So you have a potential of another $50 million in debt going on the book. But we just rescinded 5. So
We haven't borrowed that yet, so that's
We
not.
have
so
not
does that
borrowed
answer
it
your
yet.
question, Lisa?
Yes, so I calculate that out to be 2.2, so it dropped from 2.5 down to 2.2 using, for the record, for everyone, and you can correct me, it's 3,123,223.49 and $141,960,660.
Yeah, so you're just dividing one through the other.
Yeah,
Back
you
to
just-
the Apple example. We're going to take whatever the
Yep.
portion is you want to know, divide by the total, and there you go. All right, there we go. Looking for a
Thank you.
motion to adjourn.
Hold on,
Carolyn?
Vaughn, hold on, please. I know we all want to go home. It's the end of a long season. Can I speak, please?
Sure.
All right. This is probably going to be our last Finance Committee meeting as the three of us. We've been together for 9 years together, and it's been quite a journey, all right? A lot of interesting things have happened, and I think it's important that we pass the baton to the people who are going to be backfilling, sitting in these big chairs up here. And I just wanted to say that it's important for everybody on the Finance Committee to remember what it is that we do here, which is we represent the taxpayers, and we do it by making recommendations to town meeting. We don't represent the town manager, we don't represent the select board, we don't represent the school committee, we represent the town meeting. And our job is to vet everything out so that the taxpayers have some kind of check and balance. And I emphasize the word balance, because a lot of people think that, people are trying to push people in one direction or another. No, this is the balance, because the other entities in the town, their job is to do the best they can to make sure that they can get the most for the constituents that they serve. Our constituency is, at the end of the day, the taxpayers through a recommendation to town meeting. And I think that it's important that we talk a lot, we've heard a lot about training this year, and it's, while it may be important to take the online training that's these mandates that come through the state, it's vitally important that the people show up to the different areas that are delivered to us through Division of Local Services. There's a group called the ATFC. I highly recommend it. You truly learn the basic elements of municipal finance, so you understand what's going on with all these discussions, the jargon, the importance of each element, how everything's interconnected, how to create policies. And policies are our job. Whether if you can't stand policies, I'm sorry. While you might come here because you only care about one aspect, which is just transfers or just going through the budget process or whatever it is that you like doing here. But at the end of the day, if somebody has an interest in policies, making recommendations about it, you should be encouraging them to and listen to them about what their ideas are about recommending policies, because it's our job. It's in the charter. It's recommended by the DLS. It's in the handbook. It's all there. So I just truly think that it's important that everybody kind of, feels comfortable in kind of taking over with the different things that are out there. There's plenty of resources there to help do that. And one last thing is subcommittees. I know that in the past few years, it started with COVID when we stopped doing subcommittees, and even after COVID, we never came back to it. I'm a big fan of it. Everybody knows that. And it allows you to have discussions so that you're not feeling like this onslaught of numbers coming at you, because you get to actually have a sense of, oh, that's why they need this extra money in this aspect of the department or whatever it is. But it also gives you the chance to have a gavel. You get to train. It's a great training ground on how to run a meeting. You have to take minutes. You have to, make sure everybody's in attendance. You have to take records. You got to do all those things to run a meeting, and that's a great training ground for learning how to manage a gavel. So those are the things I just wanted to express. These were just my thoughts. It's not everybody's. I'm sure, if you asked any other veterans on the Finance Committee, they have a totally different take on it. But I wanted to share mine, and I wish everybody the best. I enjoyed the 9 years that I served here, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I truly enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoy the people, even when it got raucous and rough and tumble, all that stuff. I think somebody once said it's like a yin and yang kind of thing going on. I hope, that was a positive experience. I hope the taxpayers benefit at the end of it for that, and that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Dave. Carolyn, did you have your hand up?
I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations to the three of you. You've done a great job over the last 9 years when I've seen you all at town meetings, so I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else here does as well.
Okay.
And just-
Diane?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You all got a little piece of what a lot of us ate when John Anzavino was here. I wish he was here tonight. I would have given him a piece of, but I wanted to say good luck to all of you in the future, because we will not be here. Any of us, I'm sure, would answer a question or come and listen to any of the meetings. I want to say about my own 9 years, because it's been a tough 9 years for me a little bit. I have met probably the most interesting and most informative people in these 9 years, learned how the town worked more than just going to town meetings, because I've been a town meeting member pretty close to 30 years. From John Rock with his, we have to be out by 10:30, to walking out to 6 or 7 inches of snow at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday or Thursday night. It just was an experience to witness it all. I've enjoyed working with every single one of you, every single one of the members that I've worked with over the last 9 years, and I wish you all Godspeed in the future.
All right. All right. Jonna?
I'm repeating what Carolyn said, basically, but I just personally wanted to thank all three of you for the work that you've done. It's been phenomenal, and we appreciate it very much. We wish you could do some more time, but that's the way it goes.
Well, there's still enough time to have another special before we go, so I just... Lisa?
So I just want to follow up on one other piece of information that I'm missing based on the email request, and that's for the recap sheets, revenue recap sheets from 23, 24, and 25, although I think we got that in our package this year. I just want to double check it with the breakdown of the TIF money. That's an email that I've had out there for over a week and a half now, so I'm just looking for the revenue recaps with the pieces that came in as new growth on TIF breakdown.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, Joel, you have anything? No? Okay. Well, I've had a nice time here for 9 years. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I want to ask one more
Diane?
question.
Okay. I don't know why everybody keeps saying it's the last
Second.
motion.
Dave, do you want to second that?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. This meeting's adjourned. I'd like to thank the public for attending, and thank the public for watching, thank Biz, and I'd like to thank this committee for being here to do the hard work. Have a great night. We're adjourned.